as we had mentioned before, we really felt the Lord told us for 2020 is to not to look back. And that's easier said than done. And I asked the Lord, I was like, what compels us to look back? And I feel that there are certain things that we compel us to look back. And the first thing we want to talk about today is that something or someone has our heart.
Right. You know, we give our heart to a lot of different things. You know, some things are healthy, right? Like, you have my heart.
Yes, I have your heart.
You do have my heart, baby.
And
that's right. She has a big part of my heart. But she's my wife, you know, and you know this is biblical. We have marriage, and it's a beautiful thing. But there are certain things that we attach our heart to that can become dangerous. You know, in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23, it says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." Everything you do flows from your heart. It's true. Like, it's serious. Like, I do a lot of things because of you. Like, and there's a lot of things I do just so I can see that smile. Y'all saw that smile? That's what I'm talking about. Those are the certain things that we do. And so when you give your heart to things that God didn't want you to give your heart to, you find yourself pleasing man over pleasing God.
That's really true.
And that becomes very dangerous. And so instead of moving forward in the things of God, you find yourself bound by the restraints that man has put on you. And it's like, and it's not really that man has put those restraints on you, it's that you put those restraints because you've tied yourself, you've given your heart to things that were very unhealthy. And I've seen, you know, that over my life, it's tough because I'm a loyal person.
Yes.
Like
too loyal sometimes.
Right, to a fault.
Loyalty is great.
Right, but I'm sometimes loyal to a fault. Like my barber, I had since I was 16. 2018, I fired him. Well, I didn't call him and say you're fired. I didn't pull one of those. But I stopped going. I just stopped calling him, stopped going back because something happened and I was just done.
Right, but the reality of it is I had been telling him for years to get rid of the barber, to find someone new because he wasn't doing that great of a job anyway.
Yeah, and so it was tough. You know, it was tough for me because being a loyal person, but I realized I had to let go. But that sparked some things in our life at that time. You know, we started to let go of some things.
What was a major transformation change for you? Like, I knew the moment he let go of the barber, like God was doing something in his life because the man was not gonna let go of the barber.
Right, that was one of those things. You don't mess with it. I don't care. You know, I love her. You don't mess with a man and his barber. Right. And so, especially a black man and his barber, you just don't come in between that relationship. But you know, I realized I had to sever some ties, and it just began some things in my life where we had to start making some changes, cutting some things that I was close to. But over this last year, in all of 2019, the Lord said, "You've been looking back. It's time to stop looking back." I realized, man, there were some things that I had held on to in my heart in hopes that things would shift or change or hoping that things would get better. And the Lord said, it's time to move on. There are some things in your life that your heart is set on, that you may be holding on to in hopes that one day some of you need to detach yourself from some of your Instagram followers. Some of the friends you have on Facebook, you need to begin to block. Some of the people that you're allowing access into your life, we're holding on to those things in hopes that one day things will change and they'll still be there. We're keeping people on the side when we shouldn't be keeping people on the side.
Right.
We shouldn't be keeping relationships on the side, things on the side that God has said move on from. Yeah. You know, was it Elisha?
Yeah.
That I was just reading about that this morning, and we were talking about it.
He got the call to ministry, and he instantly, the first thing he did, he went back, and he was a farmer, and he broke his plow to use it to burn, and then he roasted the oxen that he used to plow the fields, and he totally got rid of his way of life, his way of living, because he did not want it as a security blanket or a plan B to go back to, because he knew that the Lord had told him a clear directive.
Right, and so that didn't have his heart. The job didn't have his heart. The things didn't have his heart. What had his heart was the Lord. And when the Lord has your heart, you can move forward in confidence and not worry about the ramifications or the consequences that are going to come because you're in his hands. Right. And so one of the things we have to let go of is some of the things that have your heart. You need to sever some ties. You need to let go of some of those things so that you can move forward and stop being stuck in where you were in 2019 and move forward because no longer are you holding on to those things that have your heart. Give Jesus your heart. He will take good care of it.